Call this meeting to order of Lancaster County Council here on September the 23rd, 2024. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight, especially our championship 9 and 10-year-olds from Lancaster Dixie Baseball. They were state champions and come in third in the World Series. We'll have a little special presentation for them in a few minutes. And I would also like to welcome Major Keith W. Blandford from the South Carolina State Guard. He'll be participating in one of our special presentations for National Preparedness Month, and also Christina Riley from the K-9 Companions. With that, would you please rise and join Council Member Charlene McGriff as she leads us in our Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we go into this meeting, I ask for blessings for our citizens of the county, our staff, and my fellow council members. I also ask you to provide us with guidance and wisdom as we move through this meeting tonight. I ask you this prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. McGriff. Let's move on down to our approval of our agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion for Mr. Carr, second for Ms. McGriff. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. We have a unanimous approval of our agenda tonight. We'll move on into our citizens' comments. Please bear in mind this is not a period of dialogue with council or a question and answer period. This is your opportunity to address council with your concerns. I ask that you address your remarks to council as a body and not to any individual council member. Please speak into the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and you will have up to 3 minutes to address council. Your time will not start until you have provided your name and address. First, we have Gordon Johnson.
Council members, staff, good evening. Gordon Johnston, 7401 Carmel Executive Park Drive in Charlotte. So I'm here tonight representing Century Communities with regards to item 8F in your agenda. This is a requested amendment for the development agreement on our Shiloh Woods residential development project. This is a development agreement that was approved by this council, and since that approval, we've been working very diligently to advance this project in order to get it started. I would tell you that far and away the lion's share of our effort over the past 12 to 15 months has been working very closely hand in hand with Lancaster County Water Sewer District to develop the overall utility plans that would service not only this project but also the general area within which it resides. It's been a very complicated and time-consuming process, but I am happy to say that as we sit here tonight, we just recently did receive a thumbs up from the district on those proposed plans. So we are ready now to proceed into the more detailed engineered plans for the project. And again, I point out that us getting to that kind of conceptual approval, I call it, was a prerequisite before we got into the more detailed drawings that they would then review and approve or review. So as we sit here tonight, we've got what looks like probably 12 months of additional planning, design, review, and comment by all the municipal agencies, the county, the district, SCDOT, the state. So we're ready at this point to proceed into that, which brings us to the point we're here tonight. And the development agreement as it stands right now has a sunset date or an outside termination date that is at the end of this year. So with 12 months of additional design, we are requesting to extend that date through the end of next year to allow us to get through that design and approval process in order to start development of the site and construct homes. So myself, as well as our entitlement manager, Bryce Dimitruck, are here this evening. And I would say that we are more than welcome to come back up, answer any kind of questions you might have during discussion of the item. Would be happy to engage in the discussion and come up as you see fit. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration of this item.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Jim Ferguson.
Jim Ferguson, 8380 Henry Harris Road. This is the third time I've been here.
and I wouldn't be back except what I've asked is not got done yet. KB Homes is building across the street from myself, my neighbor, and my neighbor behind me. There's 2 culverts that have always been over there. They haven't caused any problems until KB came in and decided they wanted to raise the land up, I guess, to feed their retaining pond at the back. I was told after they sent the same person out both times, and he wouldn't even walk the property with me where I could show him where the damage was. He just said it was, culverts had been there for a long time, and they were there before you, blah, blah, blah. He said the culverts belong to the state. If they messed with the culverts, they would have to take over maintenance of the road. That is false statement. The culverts belong to Lancaster County. The second or third guy that came out didn't even know the culverts were there. He didn't have a clue that they were there on the property, and that's where we're getting all our water from. We don't mind getting the water because we expect to get water from the middle of the road toward us. And then, of course, the county came in and took 15 more feet of property, which that was fine too, didn't mind that. But we're getting drowned. I'm getting water under my house now. My neighbor's getting water under his house now. That's going to bring back mold in. So the next step is either get it fixed or something else will have to take place. I don't know what else to say except if somebody will just respect us enough as residents to come down and spend some time with us where we can show what the problem is, instead of standing on Henry Harris and saying, I'm not going to walk the property because it don't need to be walked. That water coming over there, you're going to get it. I can stop the water from coming. That's no problem. But every time I mention my ideas to stop it, all I was told was that if you do that, then you'll be thrown in jail. You know, that's not the way to handle anything. I respect everybody up here. I respect the people that come out. But to stand there and tell me that you're going to throw me in jail because I'm trying to get water, he says you can't direct water. Well, Lancaster County did, or KB Homes did, when they built the land up to go to their retaining pond. They directed the water toward us. When black mold starts to come to my house, there will be a problem. I'm 74 years old. I'm healthy as I can be right now, but black mold takes you down real quick. And I'm trying to get the other 2 neighbors to come with me, but their work, doesn't always work that way. All I ask is to respect us enough to come out and let me show you what the problems are. Don't tell me it can't be fixed, that it's owned by the state. It's not owned by the state because from Shelley Mullis to Jim Wilson, Henry Harris, it's not even on DOT's map. We've already talked to DOT. They said if it was their problem, they'd come fix it. It's not their problem. It's Lancaster County's problem, or KB Homes. But Lancaster County drew the plans up, so KB Homes did what they were supposed to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Barbara Scannell.
Good evening, Barbara Scannell, 8016 Carolina Lakes Way, Indian Land, South Carolina, 29707. I gave a packet to Ms. Simpson. I hope you have a copy of all of it. Yes? Okay. So the first thing, I'm just doing this for your attention because I think it's important that you know it's there. The ballot language listed on the website for the transportation 1% sales tax does show in question 1, it says 521 in Henry Harris. However, when I looked at the sample ballot on the state SC Votes website, it only lists the 521. So I don't know where that issue is, but I think for the county, they probably want the language to be the same. So I'm giving that to you for your information and for the benefit of the county. The next item I wanted to bring up is this other piece of paper and this piece of paper. These are the proposed projects for the intersection improvements, and if you look at under the 5th one down, it says Shelley Mullis Road and US 21. Right now, at that corner, there is a development going in. The apartment's already in, and at the corner, they're starting to build the commercial. So the thing that we're concerned about is when you look at this sheet of paper where it says parcel 3 and then it turns into it, there is a right turn lane going there. However, once you pass there, there is no right turn lane to go into the next entrance, nor is there a right turn lane going from where it says parcel 1, the farther southern port, up into the 521 to the right turn pocket. However, it is listed on here. that the residents have to pay for. Now, I understand that this project was approved in 2020, and it was not a requirement on the developer at that time, apparently, to put the right turn lane all the way up. The thing is that we are getting hammered as far as development up in the northern part of the county. We have, in addition to that development, there's a huge development just east of there between Collins Road and Shelley Mullis. I'm talking huge development. You go farther east on Shelley Mullis to Henry Harris, there's homes going there. You make a right turn onto Henry Harris, you're going to see another development. So between all of that, plus we've got Costco coming in with their mixed use, we've got Target coming in with their mixed use. We're going to have a lot of folks coming from different areas of the county to shop, and all the other development that's coming in. I am requesting respectfully that you consider adding this question onto a future agenda, because I know you can only discuss things that are on the agenda, and see if a negotiation can be done with this developer that he goes ahead and puts the rest of the right turn lane all the way up to Shelley Mullis, and that way we take care of traffic flow now, and it'll be much cheaper now than it's going to be years from now. So I thank you for your time, and I hope that one of you will take care of that. And I would support that in all the districts of the county, because it would be important for all of your districts as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Cannell. Ken Beck.
Hi, Ken Beck from Sun City. Two things. One, for people that don't get the Lancaster news, I want to thank you for supporting the Sheriff's Department the way you do. I noticed they got they're only second agency in the state to get a new certification. It's called SAFE, Sexual Assault Forensic Excellence, and the designation was created to recognize law enforcement, emergency medical services, which we've talked about here before, fire, and with victim advocacy agencies that provide care to sexual assault victims, going the extra mile to provide statewide standard of care. So we've got a Sheriff's Department. You guys support them? Thank you. The other project was this one, which I'm sure you're all aware of. This is the County Regional Park. The headline says it's 22% over budget. But if you go over deeper into the article, and again, maybe the numbers are wrong, it says, ironically, in December of 2022, Council was told the entire park project, including the recreation center, would cost $43 million or more. By the end of February last year, that's now $72 million. I'm wondering what it is now, and how do we approve projects that are now, on those numbers, about 70% over budget? I don't even believe we've broken ground yet. So if there's something going on with planning that could be improved, or the paper should report it better, could you let us know? Because as a citizen, people are getting very upset about the cost of things going up and then being over budget, like the Lancaster High School. Things that shouldn't happen are happening, and we need to see if we can fix that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Bruce Cohen.
My name is Bruce Cohen, in Walnut Creek in Lancaster, and I want to talk about, what Ken was just talking about, and then the first guy who spoke was talking about getting approvals, and we're talking, Barbara's talking about 521 with no plan, and we're talking about a park that nobody walked the property, apparently. Because I was reading the article and it said something about 500-foot elevations that nobody knew about. And they're having problems with it now, but yet there was no plan. There was no plan, and it got approved anyways. And I'm just wondering how that happens. And, a lot of this stuff, even for the approval of new homes, 521 can't handle it. I don't care if that's in the south side of Lancaster or if it's up in Indian Land. Doesn't matter. 521 can't handle it. And nobody has a plan for 521. There's no plans. You're talking about the tax, we'll handle it and everything. Still, no plan. Just, we want money for it, but we don't have a plan yet. And when money gets approved first without a plan, as Ken just said, that's about 100% increase from the original was 32 million, but then they added to what they were going to do with the building. That's one of the reasons it went up to 40 million. But then now it's 72 million, and it's just a major increase. Things are getting approved without a plan. Unless I'm wrong, unless I'm reading that wrong, but I don't think I'm reading that wrong. And I'm listening to the people who were up here speaking, and they sound like they know what they're talking about. And what they're saying is that we want an approval without a plan for 521. And other people are saying we have a plan for 521, but it's not being done, and there's no plan. And yet things get approved. And I'm just wondering if things can be slowed down and maybe the infrastructure done first, then approvals. And I know the guy was talking to sewer, that's important. I was told that sewer is having a large problem with handling all the new building that's going up. And I know you guys don't handle that, yet it's there. And we need plans, and maybe it just needs to be slowed down. And also, somebody to run interference before something like that comes up. Even on the park, when I read that somebody designed it out of Charlotte, and apparently they didn't walk it. They designed it from a photo, but yet they didn't walk it. And they're having problem with, I guess the word was topography, was the one that was used. And just things, maybe more people need to be in place before it gets up here to you. Thank you. And thanks for letting me speak.
Jean Dole?
Jean Doyle, 6030 Kings Canyon Way, Lancaster. I guess the park seems to be a really hot topic, but only for those that read the Lancaster News. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council, and I do want to talk about what I consider an absolute debacle on this park. To me, it's inconceivable that Wolpert Design could have been so far off in the cost of developing the park on 521. The original amount of money was roughly $35 million. Now they're talking about $18 million just for site work. That's more than 50% of what the original fund was supposed to be. And no surprise to you guys, you all know that there's a lot of issues there. But I just, when I read the article in the newspaper, I was just in a state of shock about the whole thing. I know there's a plan. There was a plan to break it into 2 phases, so they could spend some money now and do phase 2 somewhere down the road. Now it looks like that plan has fallen apart. I don't see this plan as feasible at all. I know when this originally came up for vote, there was at least one councilman that the funding for this was put together with an improvement for the county jail. One councilman at least wanted the 2 funds separated, and the council didn't see fit to do that, and I'm sure they had their reasons. I don't know what happens now. What happens to the money for the county jail? How is it tied to the money for the park? This is just a debacle. With all the other issues that the county has with schools, transportation, emergency services, I really think it's fiscally irresponsible for the council, or for the county rather, excuse me, to spend any of this money on the park. I just think the whole thing needs to be scrapped and everything needs to go back to the drawing board. I'd like to see it shelved, but that's my personal opinion. Thanks again for allowing me to address you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dole. That concludes our citizens' comments tonight. Let's move on down to, we have 3 special presentations. The first one is the recognition of September as National Service Dog Month. And we have a proclamation that's going to be presented by Councilman Jose Luis, District 4, to Christina Riley from Canine Companions. Mr. Luis?
Thank you, Mr. Harper. So as part of this, I just want to thank Christina Riley.
Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's up there. I just want to thank Christina Riley for reaching out to me about this and about the great work that they are doing in Lancaster County. A few stats that she had sent to me that I think everyone should hear. First of all, there are 64 million American adults and children that have a disability. There are only 16,000 service dogs from accredited programs in the U.S., and less than 1% of people with disabilities that could qualify have a service dog. Canine Companions created the concept of service dogs for people with physical disabilities, training the first service dog in 1975. The organization currently serves people with more than 65 different types of disabilities, and Canine Companions has 7 locations serving the entire country. Canine Companions has more than 2,800 active teams throughout the country, and they have placed 8,000 teams since their founding. There are also 500 people on the wait list looking to be matched with an expertly trained service dog. So, on behalf of the county, I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas an estimated 64 million American adults and children live with disabilities, representing a significant portion of our society who can greatly benefit from increased accessibility and support. And whereas Canine Companions is a nonprofit organization that enhances the lives of people with disabilities by providing expertly trained service dogs and ongoing support to ensure quality partnership. And whereas September is an opportune time to raise public awareness about the important role of service dogs in empowering individuals with disabilities and to recognize the dedication of organizations like Canine Companions. Now, therefore, in recognition of service dogs and the adults and children with disabilities in our community, I, Jose Luis, on behalf of the Lancaster County Council, do hereby proclaim the month of September as National Service Dog Month. Got the service dog Toto here with us.
And if I could just give a little bit of acknowledgement of what is happening in Lancaster County. We have 4 puppy raisers like myself in Lancaster County. We have a service dog that has gone to a veteran who served both in Iraq and Afghanistan. We have a hearing dog that is in Lancaster County. We have an individual that works in the Mecklenburg-Charlotte School District, and she has a facility dog that works there that helps the children in the school district. And we have a 17-year-old who in 2 weeks will be going and getting her second service dog. So it really is impacting the local community, and we really appreciate the recognition that you've given us today. We are always looking for people to become puppy raisers, and also people can find out more information and apply for a service dog if they have those needs. So on behalf of Toto and myself, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
That is a 7.5-month-old puppy. So that's what we get at 7.5 months. So thank you.
All right, let's move on down to our second special presentation. We have our recognition of our Dixie Baseball 10 and under team for winning the state championship and finishing 3rd in the Dixie Boys World Series. We have a little proclamation to present to the team, so team and coaches, come on down. Get over here with Coach Watts. All right, I want y'all to look at this bunch right here, and they have been making memories and still making memories, as I understood it. They played this past weekend and went undefeated and won 5 games. So a lot of talent right here, and look forward to seeing y'all's names as you grow up, play high school ball, and hopefully some of you will continue that on and play in college, and maybe one day we can see one or two of you make it to the big leagues. We have a proclamation to present these teams today. Whereas the Lancaster County Dixie Baseball 10 and under team won the South Carolina State Championship by beating Hampton, Pendleton, Gaston, Hartsville, Blacksburg, Louisville, and by beating Loris in a state championship game by a score of 5-4 in 8 innings. Whereas the team finished third in the Dixie Boys World Series, which was held in Shreveport, Louisiana, where they beat Louisiana, Virginia, Alabama, and Texas. And whereas the team members included Bryson Hale, Preston Hale, Wyatt Snipes, Bentley Watts, Mason Barrett, Aiden Sanchez, Eli Gillette, Colton Edwards, Carson Melton, Cannon Melton, Maddox Blackman, and Harvey Mize. And whereas the team was coached by head coach Trip Watts and assistant coaches Brandon Hale and Blake Langley, and now, therefore, I, Steve Harper, on behalf of Lancaster County Council, do hereby congratulate the Dixie Baseball 10 and under team on their magnificent achievements and wish all the players and coaches much success in their future endeavors. And we have a little special Coach, would you like to say a few words about your team?
It's probably one of the most talented guys I've ever been around. I'll take this opportunity to speak on a part of Lancaster Dixie. I'm also the president. We play at Wiley Park, a very old park. We need help. And we do. We need these guys. We have a lot of talent. It ain't just these guys. We have 5 and 6 year olds is just a talent, 7 and 8 just a talent, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. If even our high school kids that's played there are just in talent. But we need help. Our kids need help. We need to get out from Wiley Park, and either we need to come back with the rec or we need Dixie a place to play. Because you have a lot of talent in this area, and it's not just in baseball. I coach high school football here too. I coach this right here in Lancaster. We got a lot of talent there. We got a lot of talent in Indian Land. AJ, Buford, support these kids because this is our future. This is our future right here. And if they can't carry what we built, nobody will. I'm proud of these guys. I'm proud for y'all having here, and I'm proud to be from Lancaster. And that's what I try to tell these guys. We wore South Carolina on our shirts in Louisiana, but we come from Lancaster. And I'm proud to be from this spot.
All right, thank you, Coach Watts. And come on. I'll get on the other end down here.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say something. Trip doing good, buddy. You're welcome, buddy. Sir.
Thank y'all. Great job. Way to go. Way to go. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right.
I'd like to say a little something about this team. I had the privilege of going watching them this year, and it was a lot of fun.
Get to the microphone.
I had a lot of privilege to go and watching these boys today. I mean, a few weeks or back when they made their run, it was really, I seen great coaching. I seen sportsmanship. I seen this coach says talent. These boys are special. And I think everybody on the team can pitch, beat all I ever seen. You just don't see that in other teams and stuff. So I really enjoyed going and watching. Me and my wife went down, and we had a good afternoon of watching them. So good luck to you in this coming year.
All right, Eli. I hung around Dixie baseball field many years ago with Mr. Snipes played down there. And as Coach Watt said, it's time for the rec department and Dixie to come together because that is a challenging place. It has a lot of issues and safety issues where that park is located. So hopefully in the next year or two or in the near future, the county can get with Dixie Baseball and see if we could make something happen. So give me a call and I'll see if I can get a meeting lined up between the administration and the board of Dixie Baseball. All right? All right, we have one more special recognition tonight. September is National Preparedness Month, and we have a proclamation going to be presented to Major Keith Blandford from the South Carolina State Guard. And for emergency preparedness, I don't know if a lot of y'all remember Hugo in 1989, but the state guard, I guess they are very important in this. So I've got a proclamation I want to read first, and then we're going to let Major Blandford speak. All right, this proclamation, whereas September is observed as National Preparedness Month, and County Council would like to raise awareness about the importance of preparing for emergencies and to build resilience before disasters strike. And whereas the residents of Lancaster County deeply appreciate the protection that the South Carolina State Guard has provided to the citizens of this great state for more than 150 years, and whereas the State Guard is a professional military organization and component of the South Carolina Military Department, which supplies a variety of critical functions with the state, such as providing disaster relief assistance for communities and local first responder organizations, including the Lancaster County Emergency Management Department. And whereas when serious natural or man-made disasters strike, the State Guard provides boots on the ground with the mission to swiftly respond and safeguard the people and property and to aid in community recovery in coordination with local agencies. Now, therefore, I, Steve Harper, on behalf of Lancaster County Council, do hereby proclaim September as South Carolina State Guard Month and National Preparedness Month. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You want to say a few words?
Hang on. Do this one here. All right, so Chairman Hopper, members of the council, Administrator Marstall, and of course Clerk Simpson. I had originally prepared for 5 minutes, but the clerk said 3, and I follow orders, so I'll do that. So I'm Major Keith Blandford, the commanding officer of the 1st Battalion, known as Sumter's Battalion. Our companies are stationed throughout the Midlands of South Carolina, with Company A right here at the National Guard Armory on 803 Nichols Road. I've had the privilege of serving in the United States Navy, the National Guard, and now the South Carolina State Guard. Out of all my service experiences, none have been more impactful, challenging, or gratifying than my time serving with the State Guard. Leading the Gamecocks Battalion is a profound honor, and I take immense pride in upholding the military traditions and values of South Carolina has stood for since its foundings. As many of you know, South Carolina has a long and distinguished military history, playing a critical role in the formation of these United States. It is heartwarming to see counties like Lancaster passing resolutions that recognize the dedication and hard work of the soldiers of the South Carolina State Guard. Make no mistake, the South Carolina State Guard is your original defense force. We are not subject to federal deployment. We are here exclusively to serve the people of this state. Our battalion has worked hard to align our training and mission to ensure that we are a true asset to your county. We can provide general-purpose troops to support nearly any emergency operation, but we also offer specialized capabilities. For instance, the 1st Battalion is home to 3 advanced disaster area reconnaissance teams, which can rapidly deploy into disaster zones. These teams establish forage observation bases, maintain radio communications, and provide real-time intelligence on conditions in the field. In addition, we clear debris, set up transport routes, and establish temporary shelters known as blue tents or western shelters. We can establish helicopter landing zones and points of distribution for citizens in need. Lancaster County can activate these services through the Emergency Support Function, or ESF 19 process, and I can assure you we stand ready to assist. Last paragraph. The State Guard is made up of prior service members, non-prior service members, civilian professionals, and emergency professionals, firefighters, medics, police officers. They're all volunteers who give so much for the protection and welfare of their communities. It has been my honor, the honor of my life, to have served alongside these dedicated men and women. On behalf of the 1st Battalion, I want to thank you, Lancaster County, for your recognition and ongoing support. We are proud to serve you, and we remain ready.
Thank you again. We'll give our little leaguers a chance to get out of here. All right, let's move on down to agenda item number 7, our consent agenda. I have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve consent agenda item 7A.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Mosteller, second from Ms. McGriff. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. We have unanimous approval of our consent agenda. Let's move down to 8.1. 8A, Resolution 1265-R 2024. This is a resolution to approve a favorable recommendation of the Lancaster County Planning Commission on a conditional use application to permit a vehicle services major repair bodywork used to be located at tax map located at 9870 Harrisburg Road. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. McGriff, second from Mr. Louise. Ms. Adams. Ms. Williams. I don't know where I'm Adams.
I'll answer to almost anything these days, Chairman. Good evening. This item before you has been before you, and it came back last council meeting for a motion to reconsider. As Chairman Harper said, it is a conditional use permit request for a body shop located at Harrisburg Road. The applicants, Mr. McClure and Hex LLC, are asking for this so that they can convert the old Continental Battery Company into a body shop. As some more background from this, this is the property, the highlighted yellow square is where the property is located. It's been vacant for a while, so the conditional use would be able to give this needed updates into this area. Originally, it was approved by the Planning Commission back in June, and there were some outstanding comments from the TRC, so the Planning Department requested a denial. The applicant at that time decided to temporarily withdraw from not being on the council agenda to work through all of those comments. The applicants have been very cooperative and understanding and have produced a really good project for this. They handed out packets last council meeting to you, and I also included those in your backup as well to show you all of the uses the plans for that. They have addressed all of the outstanding comments from the Planning Commission, and from the Planning Department, and we are in full favor of this project at this time. These are some of the background comments that I've already kind of said. I've just put them in writing for everyone. Also, I would like to make note that we have had several discussions with the applicant to let them know of the importance of keeping everything inside. There will be no outside storage. There will be no code enforcement issues, and they are very compliant and understanding of that as well. And finally, I will be here to answer any questions you may have from me, and the applicants are also available should you have questions for them.
At the last meeting, I requested an updated TRC. Did we get that?
It was in your packet, yes, sir. I downloaded that myself.
I saw it earlier, but I couldn't find it tonight.
Yeah, it was there. It's a conditional approval because a few of those comments can't be addressed until we get the official civil plans, but they have been addressed, and we are confident that they will be taken care of based on the documents that the applicant has provided for us.
We're dealing with new software, so you had to bear with us.
Well, my software, too, it might be wrong in my head.
No, your head's right this time. 'Cause I remember doing it.
I saw it, I remembered, and I understand that, so all the comments were addressed.
Yes, sir.
Oh, correct. And I understand they're not done yet, but the applicant is okay.
They can't really start making those plans until you give them their conditional use permit.
I understand that, but they won't get their certificate of occupancy until things are
So
done.
everything is done, yes, sir.
All right, any questions for Ms. Williams? Go ahead.
I went this past weekend and visited the site, and I think it's going to be great for the area with the improvements it's going to make and everything, and I really believe it's going to be good. So.
I think it's much better than having a sales battery place because that had a lot of batteries in it.
Well, and the empty building is just sitting there, not up to code. Because they're changing the use, they have to bring the building up to our current code. So it's valuable in multiple ways.
All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none, thank you, Ms. Williams. Hearing none, I think we're ready to vote on Resolution 1265-R 2024. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed likewise. Resolution 1265-R 2024 passes by a vote of 6 for and none opposed. All right, we have our public hearing and third reading of Ordinance 2024-1922. This ordinance is to approve a temporary construction and permanent easement grant to the Lancaster County Water and Sewer District. Mr. Marstall?
Yes. The information is on your third reading. This is a water sewer district project. They are expanding their system for water transmission. This does run along Highway 9 between the DHEC Road and the Grace Avenue. It touches a little bit of the parcel owned by Lancaster County, and so they would need, this will support a 24-inch water main, part of their growth and expansion plan for water, but also for redundancy and capacity to the airport and air rail area, one of our business parks. And to the south of Highway 5 is the area this will serve. And so this is also part of a $17 million investment that the Water Sewer District is making into the transmission line. So there is a public hearing tonight, but that's the general information for third reading.
All right, any questions for Mr. Marstall before we have our public hearing? Hearing none. We do have a public hearing and no one signed up. So we'll move past our public hearing. I'm looking for a motion to bring this matter to the floor.
So moved. Second.
Who was original?
Louise.
Mr. Louise, then Mr. Carnes, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I think we're ready to vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. We have unanimous approval. Third reading of ordinance 2024-1922. Let's go on down to third reading of ordinance 2024-1926. This is an ordinance to amend the Lancaster County Code, Chapter 2, Administration, to add general provisions for boards, commissions, and similar entities where the majority of the members are appointed by the Lancaster County Council. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Ms. McGriff, second from Mr. Mosteller. Mr. Marstall, Mr. Pont?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and council members, this is the third reading. Thank you for your input as we've gone through. The general board's provisions that we were talking about tonight will affect the 24 boards and commissions that have been established, or committees that have been established by county council over time, and bring some streamlining to the general powers, talking about term limits, length of terms, conduct, service. And so since second reading, there was a bit more input from county council that I'll ask our county attorney, Ms. Merck DuPont, to please highlight.
Mr. Chair, members of council, Administrator Marstall just stole my thunder on my first page where we kind of talk about the background of what all we've been doing here, but we appreciate your feedback the last two meetings. As he mentioned, we are talking about general provisions for boards and commissions here. At your last meeting, we pretty much, I think, settled on everything except one place, if you can advance that for me, Sherry, and that was on the attendance. So we made some changes there based on your feedback. From what we understood, you wanted any board or commissioner, a similar entity that met 12 or less times a year, there had to be 50% attendance there. If they met 12 or more times a year, they needed to have 75% attendance. And we did change all of the attendance requirements or removals for any of the attendance issues to be a vote of council for all of those. So that is the only change that we made following second reading based on everything, other than one other slight change that was noted that we had in the very beginning of the ordinance that talked about training having to happen before they took office at the same time they did their oath of office, but because we're adding a training section that's very, very specific, we struck that part so there was no conflict between the two. So this is the only additional change that we are requesting here on third reading, and we hope that you will pass it here at third reading and we can get these into place, get some training done with staff liaisons, and move forward with these new general provisions for your boards and commissions.
Questions? Discussion? All right. I think we're ready to vote on third reading of ordinance 2024-1926. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, likewise, we have unanimous approval. Third reading of ordinance 2024-1926. Let's move down to 8D. This is third reading of ordinance 2024-1927. This is an ordinance to adopt the amended personnel policies for Lancaster County in accordance with Lancaster County Code. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Mr. Carnes, second from Ms. McGriff. Mr. Marstall, Ms. Parker?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and council members, thank you for helping us get to third reading. We do have a few tweaks that have been made for those in the audience. We really haven't done an overhaul or a deep look at our personnel policy since about 2019. We did go through COVID. We made some adjustments for COVID situations. There's certainly been change to state and public laws that requires fair labor standards, even workers' comp and different things. And so since your input at the second reading, our HR staff led by Ms. Lisa Parker will highlight the changes since second reading.
Chairman, council members, we are here to present the personnel policy for consideration for third reading. We haven't updated our policy since September of 2010, except for some reviews and revisions that have been done throughout the years up till about 2019. The current revised policy contains new and/or altered policies that were necessary to address enacted and amended state and federal law, as well as PIBA policies and some of our practices. The new policy also will include a header that will have at-a-glance effective and revision dates, ordinance section, and policy numbers, and the reason for the revisions. Debbie's going to go through a few of the changes that we have.
Thank you, Council. The few slides that we have following this one is just going to show some changes. The non-substantive changes were not in these slides. The first one was 1.5, the anti-harassment policy. Contrary to applicable law was added, and the other language was taken out, and protected class was added just so that it would be generic, just like the rest of the policy is when it comes to that information. 7.5 is the old language was taken out entirely, and the attorney, Ms. Winters, provided new language for this section. And then 11.2, employee grievance procedure. The clerk to council was added there instead of county attorney. And with that, our county attorney, Ms. Mark DuPont, and our labor attorney, Ms. Joni Winters, has reviewed all requested revisions, and they're here to answer any questions, concerns about changes, omissions, additions that have been discussed in second reading.
And Mr. Chairman, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, Council, there was one reviewer question about workers' compensation and how it was first written. And so the language is still the same as, or went back to as second reading. The labor attorney can speak to it if she wants to, but thought it's still clear as it was, but make sure it addresses the current status of workers' compensation law. And so I just want to make sure you know that that was discussed. We did not make a change, though, since second reading. If you need any questions, Ms. Mark DuPont or our labor attorney is available.
Any questions, discussion? All right. I think we're ready to vote on third reading of ordinance 2024-1927. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, likewise. We have unanimous approval. Third reading of ordinance 2024-1927. Let's move on down to first reading of ordinance 2024-1930. This is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2024-1910 relating to the appropriation of funds and the approval of a detailed budget for Lancaster County for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion for Ms. McGriff to have a second. Second, Mr. Graham. Ms. Harris?
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chairman, council members. We have in front of us tonight a budget amendment that includes two amendments, with the first being requesting authorization to utilize $950,000 of the general fund balance for the purpose of the upfit of the new elections and fleet facility. You might recall we brought this before council in last fiscal year, and due to the timing of the actual purchase happening just this month, actually, the upfit needed to be rescheduled, and so we're asking to reappropriate those funds to be able to cover moving costs and upfit expenses like new shelving and such. Second item included in this amendment is to get authorization to appropriate the state accommodations tax to the Old English District. Typically, this is something that happens as a part of the budget process, and that did not happen in this last round, just holding for a decision around what organization these funds might be allocated to. And so this is 30% of the state accommodations tax, which can either go to a organization. The examples that are included in the South Carolina Code of Laws are either the Chamber of Commerce, a Visitor and Convention Bureau, or either a regional tourism commission. And so the Old English District, which fits the criteria for a regional tourism commission, we're asking for council approval to allocate the funds to that organization. I can answer any questions you have about either amendment.
So the $950,000 is money that was allocated in 2023, I guess?
In 2024,
2020,
this past fiscal year.
okay. And you want to carry it forward?
Essentially, yes.
We did not make the budget, we did not do a PO or start expending that 950. And since we didn't start that in 2024, we had to close the fiscal year. And so, yes, so in essence, we're asking you to roll it forward.
I'm okay as long as we know what we're spending it on. And then we get a realistic cost what we're going to spend it on. I know what we're spending it on, but boy, we need to know detail what that's going to buy.
And so we do have architectural services procured that will do that. We have the requests. Roughly, part of it's doing some new garage bay doors, but then to separate within the facility, separate the elections functions from the fleet functions. So we have some secure, but also to put some training room components in there for our poll workers, and to address some shelving and storage for our voting machines. And so the architect has been procured. Once we get these funds adopted, then we can come up with the plan and address the needs, and we'll have a report back for you before we commence on construction.
Before we spend any money.
Absolutely, except for on architects.
Okay, so we'll have a detailed report before third reading.
On how that,
No, not before third reading. We're asking you to appropriate it, but then we'll come back to you on how the design, once we get the design done from the architect. So it's still going to take a little bit of time to get the architectural work going.
Yeah, I don't mind rolling it over, but I sure mind knowing what it's going to be spent on.
but we know it's going to be spent on the election and fleet facility, but we don't know the details of exactly what's going to happen.
Correct. We haven't priced out the bay to expand or heighten the bays. We haven't done that. We haven't looked at how you put the divider between the fleet facility and the elections facility, how you have the viewing room for ballots, the storage needs and the shelving needs, how high we can go. And so we need that architectural review first.
We may spend it all and we might not.
Or we may spend
Agreed. I
more.
mean, we agreed.
Could we spend more?
If we do, we'd have to come back to you.
Right, right. And
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So I guess my concern is the same concern that we had with the regional park. Like, we're being asked to approve something, but we don't have a full plan for what that's going to look like, or even it sounds like due diligence, or like, how did we come up with the 950,000, and who's going to be responsible to say, I'm putting my name, I'm the one that said it's 950,000, so that if something goes wrong, we know who's responsible for that.
And that you look to me and our project managers.
Okay.
And so that's why we're starting out first with procuring architectural services. And so we did do some initial estimates through our project manager. Knowing the bay heights, we got some estimates on what the bay heights are. But looking about if we really do want to go through programming for the elections request is to have a training room in there. If we find that that's too much or whatever, then we need to scale that back and use other locations within the county. So just trying to figure out what the full requests are, but as we have growing needs for poll stations, machines, having growing space for storage and extra shelving and different things as well, how much can we accommodate within that space once it's renovated?
I guess my concern is, are we asking for these funds too soon?
Is it appropriate to make an amendment before any funds are dispersed?
you can certainly lessen
To
it.
have it come back to council?
Yeah. I would encourage, yeah, that's fine. I would encourage you to give us some money to start with architectural services.
I understand that we've got to appropriate this, approve this, but I just want us to be specific on exactly how we're going to spend the $950,000, whether we're not going to use it all or we're going to need additional monies. Just keep us aware of how it's being spent when the decisions are made.
I'm going to make a motion that we roll it over, but it comes back to council before any money is appropriated.
Dispersed.
Dispersed.
There's a request.
Dispersed, yeah, there's a different word. My attorney friend's helping me on the language.
Is there any interest in releasing money before an architect is
Who's the architect going to tell us whether that building is suitable or not suitable and how much it's going to cost to do what we're going to do?
The architect will price out the designs of both facilities.
Well, now we've been through this. Now we've been through this at Regional Park where the architect came and designed it, and then we found out that maybe it's not a suitable site. I want to know. What I want to know is the building suitable before we have design.
Coroner's office is
No.
coming to mind.
The fleet side is definitely suitable, better than what we have now.
Who said that, and who's putting their name on the line?
Me and the
But
fleet.
you're not an architect.
No, but based upon use, the number of bays, when we say it's suitable, we know that we can put we need to get a little bay height to do fire trucks and comfortably fit in ambulances. So that's
We know
why
we've got to make some
and we've communicated.
changes to the building
Yep.
to make it accommodating for what we want. We understand that. I just want to understand, how the money's going to be spent before it's spent. There's certain things we got to spend it on before you can get back to us. But just keep us informed on how the money is being spent. If we get to a point where the 950 is not enough, we'll already know that,
And can we get copies of like the due diligence documents just to make sure that, we've reviewed what's required, what's happening, the condition of the building, all of those things? And how much money do you need for the architectural fees?
If you could start out with $75,000, that would be good. I don't have the exact contract amount in
I
front
don't
of me.
have
at
a
the
problem with doing that. I mean,
Would you,
we've got to have somebody to give us.
so your motion would be to release 75,000?
yes.
And
And the motion would read, we're going to appropriate
up to
75.
75,000.
Yeah.
Disper- We're going to,
Yes, so you're the
you're-
person who tell us what to do.
And you're saying 75 is enough to
Start the PO
contract
for
with?
the architect.
Okay.
I believe the motion that is on the table is to approve the appropriation of the $950,000 with a proposal within that approval that any disbursements other than $75,000 for architectural fees be reviewed and approved by county council first.
Yeah.
Is that what you
All
were?
right, have a motion, amendment to have a second.
I'll second.
Second.
He
Now,
said,
that's your amendment? You're making?
I made the amendment.
Okay.
And so I do want to be clear, so you hear it now, is part of that could also be for a back, what I call a pole barn, to help us with the bigger vehicles also with fire trucks and different things. So as we're doing the architect evaluation, that can be in or be out, depending upon cost and price.
We know we've got to look at that.
I don't want someone to say, I didn't know we were talking about a barn, pole barn out back, or I didn't know that
Yep.
that was being considered. So I
Yeah.
want to make sure I said that tonight.
All right, we have an amendment. Any more discussion on the amendment? We need to vote on it. The amendment is to release up to $75,000 for architectural services. All in favor, raise your right hand. So we have unanimous approval on our amendment. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote on first reading of ordinance 2024-1930 as amended. All in favor, raise your right hand. We have unanimous approval, first reading of ordinance 2024-1930 as amended. We'll move on down to first reading of ordinance 2024-1932. I have to recuse myself because I have a vested interest in this property. Mr. Gorman.
About to hit the wrong button down there. Okay, we're going to move on to item 8F, first reading ordinance 2024-1932, an ordinance to amend a development agreement with Century Communities Southeast LLC in accordance with Unified Development Ordinance Section 9.2.18.c.16.c and Section 5.02 of Ordinance 2023-1854
to extend the effective date of the agreement to December the 31st, 2025. Mr. Marstall.
Mr. Chairman and council members, there was some information shared during the citizens' comments, so I'll highlight that in 2023, County Council approved an amendment to the development agreement with Century Communities for their Shiloh Woods development, and is related to the commencement and effective dates for recording deed conveyance documentation. So a year ago, basically you extended the due date by which they had to have all their documents done to proceed with the project. The Shiloh Woods development is a 398-unit single-family cluster development on 169 acres located at 516 West Shiloh Unity. And so what the request today is, the current agreement states that if the county administrator has not received clocked-in copies of the deeds conveyed the property to the developer by 5 p.m. on December 31st, 2024, the agreement is automatically terminated without further action by either the county or the developer. So you have in your materials the developer, as was represented by Ms. Johnson speaking tonight, has sent a letter asking to only change or amend for a second time the development agreement to extend to December 31st, 2025. To get all their deeds gathered now that they are working with the water sewer district across basically 3 property owners. They were giving us a heads up. They don't think they can satisfy the 2024 deadline, so they're asking for an extension. And again, the requesting group is here, and their letter of request is in your information packet.
So does that development agreement have a, I know it's going to start 2025, when will it end?
No, they have to have all their basically property deeds done and conveyed by 2025. Last year, you originally said you can do it by 2024. We think you can have enough time. There's been other developments in the area. So now they're asking just for one date extension to 2025 to have all their deeds and work done. And that, again, they can speak to it themselves if they have more background, as they did in public comment.
Anyone have any questions of the developer? Or?
Do we need the motion first?
Yeah, we do need a motion. We have a motion to bring it to the floor.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Mosteller and a second from Ms. McGriff to approve. Okay, now we can start discussing.
Well, I wasn't in favor of this project to begin with, because everybody knows I don't like cluster development. You've heard the statements about the traffic on 521, so I'm not in favor of doing an extension.
Well, I voted in favor of it, and I'm glad that they came in time to let us know and request an extension. And I think they're doing what they are, their due diligence in getting everything ready. We need to understand that there's some other developments going on, and Lancaster County Water Sewer has a lot going on, so I can understand the delay. And I have no problem in approving it.
Any other discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Carnes. I have some concerns about why we're extending this yet again. I don't fully understand what has happened in the period that has just passed, which was already granted 1-year extension. That seems pretty generous to me. So I'm going to move forward. I feel comfortable approving this for this reading, but I definitely want to understand, and I want to get a timeline of exactly what happened, what you've done with the time that has already been granted, because then granting a full additional year seems like a lot to me. And I think that's a reasonable request. And I know that they were trying to reach me, and I couldn't because I had a family emergency last week, and so, but.
All right, any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, it's 4 to approve and 1 against. We call Mr. Harper back to the room.
right, let's move on down to 8G, first reading of ordinance 2024-1934. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have the motion from Ms. McGriff, second from Mr. Mosteller. Mr. Marstall, Ms. Merck DuPont.
Mr. Chairman and council members, this is another Lancaster County Water and Sewer District request. They have a easement request across the regional park land. This has been known when we did buy the land, but this is to help serve the Roseland area and around. So it is part of their future planning as they deliver water sewer service across the heart off of 521. And so it does cross the regional park. The layout for the regional park has accommodated this easement because it's been known since the beginning. And so tonight we have on there for your approval the authorization for an easement.
Any questions?
Do we get money for the easement or not?
I don't think so.
Servicing out.
Also
Any
servicing
discussion?
this community.
Here, no discussion. We're ready to vote on first reading of ordinance 2024-1934. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, likewise. First reading of ordinance 2024-1934 passes by a vote of 4 and 2 opposed. All right, let's move down to our discussion and action items. We have some various appointments. Just for everyone's information, Mr. James L. Falkenberry Jr., we have application from District 6, even though we don't have a council person in District 6 seat right now. But this recommendation is from the future council member of District 6 because they are running unopposed. So do I have a motion?
Hold on, I think we need to clarify that a little bit. I think it needs to come from council, because I don't think he can make a recommendation yet. Gina, am I correct?
No, ma'am, he is a candidate at this point.
Or he cannot,
No, ma'am.
so it's got to come from
But
council.
But another council member could make a recommendation, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
It's gotta
So
come-
you just need to change the language.
Yeah.
But does that have to
Come
be,
from council or
does that have to be from the district? Does that nominee have to come from the district from that area?
They just the way it's written currently for the Board of Zoning Appeals is just someone who represents each district. It doesn't say each district representative makes that appointment.
Okay.
It's one of those where we've had a lot of that conversation about whether there's
That's why,
single-
that's why I was clarifying.
It's not a single member appointment, but you do need someone from each district. So it's not single member appointment where you appoint that member from your district. The whole council appoints them, but they represent that district.
I
Very
believe-
convoluted.
I believe the reason there's a vacancy there is because Mr. Neal currently was holding that position and he is resigning since he's a candidate for county council.
So we've got to either say an individual council member is appointing him or entire council, because Neil can't appoint him because he's not a council person yet.
But we as council can accept an
Yeah, we can
application for
accept it.
somebody to
It's
fill
just
that seat.
The minutes got to read that we did it and not him.
Well, a little background on Mr. Falkenberry. He's a real estate agent. He's a licensed appraiser. So
Yeah, I have no problem with-
he's got a strong background in.
That's not the problem. The problem is process and how we're going to do it to make it legal.
Do you want to separate this one or do them all together? All right, so I need a motion to nominate James Falkenberry.
Second that.
Can you have a second?
Mr. Chairman, for procedure, we need a motion to pull this out of the pack if you're doing them all as one. So we just need a motion and a second and a vote to pull this one out, and then you can move forward on this one.
Make that motion.
I'll
A
second.
motion for Mr. Mosteller, a second for Ms. McGriff to pull the first one out for Mr. Falkenberry. Let's vote on that. All in favor of pulling out? We have unanimous approval. Let's go ahead and vote on the other three to have a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And that includes Mr. Gray, Mr. Roberts, and Mr. Strachan. So we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, raise your right hand. We have unanimous approval. Now I need a motion on Mr. Falconberry. We have a motion for Mr. Mosteller, second for Mr. Griff. Any discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. We have unanimous approval for Mr. Falconberry.
For council to understand, my representative is in the audience. Keith Gray is the new person. So stand up, Keith. That's my District 2 person.
Thank you for your service, Mr. Gray. All right, anything else? All right, so we need a motion to go into executive session for receipt of legal advice subject to the attorney-client privilege regarding a potential contractual matter related to an economic development project, Project Janus, and receipt of legal advice subject to the attorney-client privilege regarding a potential contractual matter related to an economic development project, Care America Corporation. Have that motion?
Mr. Chairman, if we can also add to that motion to invite the Economic Development Director into executive session.
We would also like to invite the economic director into our session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Motion for Mr. Carnes. Second for Mr. Graham. All in favor, raise your right hand. We have unanimous approval. We're in executive session.
Yeah, man.
I'd like to call this meeting, Lancaster County Council, back to order to have a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion to come out of executive
Have a
session.
motion from Mr. Marsteller, second from Mr. Carnes. All in favor, raise your right hand. We are now out of executive session.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, council met in executive session in regards to 2 items: the receipt of legal advice subject to the attorney-client privilege regarding a potential contractual matter relating to an economic development project, Project Janus, and receipt of legal advice subject to the attorney-client privilege regarding a potential contractual matter relating to an economic development project, Kier America Corporation. No motions were made, no votes were taken.
Thank you, ma'am. At 8:11, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Louise. A second from Ms. McGriff, please. Mr. Graham, seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand.
You don't really need a second for adjournment. You really don't.